Bleh. Return of the Living Dead 3, man, like, is to me like the gold standard of what a threequel could be. And technically it's not a threequel. Technically it's actually it's also a part 4.
You know what is the bitch of this? Is if you didn't describe it like you did, I would have said Return of the Living Dead 3 first. You described it.
Sorry, I'm just so drunk on maniacality.
If you let me guess before you said anything, I would have chosen Return of the Living Dead 3 first.
Rue knows. Rue knows. Yeah, no, listen, it's technically, if you think of Return of the Living Dead as a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, which it is, Return of the Living Dead 3 is not only a part 3, but it's actually a part 4.
Right.
But it has part 3 in the title. It could also, you could have called it
a 3. It is a 3.
You could just call it Kurt and Julie, and it would be a great fucking movie. It doesn't need to be called Return of the Living Dead Part 3. It stands on its own. I love this movie to no end. I saw it when I was 15. It's a great fucking movie. I saw it when I was 15, and I was so deeply affected by the ending of the movie because I couldn't, in the same way that you can't, you're shocked when Chucky kills a kid. I was so shocked that Brian Yuzna and John Penney had the balls to kill these characters that had been through the mill in the way that he did. The single most nihilistic, bleak ending, more so than Day of the Dead, more so than any film on this list. It is the anti-feel-good film where they simply, the only way to escape is through death. And it is just, it destroyed me then. Every time I watch it, it destroys me in a little bit. I've obviously grown accustomed to watching it, and I've seen it so many times. And, the last time I watched it, I was really blown away by how it's a movie about codependency. And yes, it's a Frankenstein story. Yes, it's a Romeo and Juliet story. And yes, it's like a zombie film. Yes, it has like these elements of like love and death, which are some of my favorite themes in horror. It's one of the reasons why I love Cemetery Man so much. But this is Cemetery a movie Man. At its core.
Is it Del Muerte?
Yeah, great film. Yeah. I spoke to both Brian Yuzna and John Penney. I still unreleased interviews that I've yet to put on this channel where I talked to them about this. I don't know. I know, right? Well, I have to go through them, and it's just one of them's Brian Yuzna's interview is 3 hours long. I just haven't had the patience to sit down.
Get on that, man.
I know, right? I interviewed the fucking man.
Right.
And I got to tell him about my feelings about this movie that affected me so much that he made. And, I recall them kind of disagreeing with me, but they were wrong. It is a movie. I mean, they made the movie. They
were wrong.
They were wrong. They were kind of wrong. I think John Penney agreed with me. I don't know. One of them, I think, agreed with me in that.
I just like the idea of you telling them they're wrong about their movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally did. I think so. I have to jog my memory, but, Return of the Living Dead 3 is a movie about codependency and what one will put up with in order to stay safe in a love that is no longer safe.
Correct.
Kurt loves Julie. Julie is dead and she eats brains. It feels so stupid saying those things, but the material is treated really seriously. The tone is super grim and serious. And it works. It really, really works. And you have this guy, he literally winds up in the sewers. Talk about the metaphor of the bunker in Day of the Dead. They find themselves in the literal gutter, on the run. And it's such a scathing portrait of young beauty on the verge of death with no future.
It's young love corrupted.
And what is their plan? Their plan is she's decomposing. She can't stop eating brains. Their plan is to run away to Seattle and he's going to join a band. Their ideas, what they want to do, everything's doomed. There is no escape for them. And literally, as at the end, we get this little Night of the Living Dead homage. And at the end, he gives her the guy who's been helping them this whole time. Take this guy up the fucking, there's a light coming from a manhole. They have to climb a ladder to get out, get out of the thing. It's so obvious what they have to do, and they can't even do it. And that's the moment. Kurt has a moment of clarity as he wallows in this codependency with someone who's literally addicted to eating brains, where he suddenly realizes that I have to walk away from this. This is unhealthy. This is going to kill me. I have to walk away, because there is the light at the end of the tunnel, and they can't even get up the ladder. They become so dysfunctional. So he walks away, and then, of course, he chooses love. And in choosing love, he chooses death. And it's just, there's so much going on in it. And I love it. I love this film so much. And I wish there was a part 4. There was a part 4 called Hail Mary, that apparently there's a treatment for, and it'll never come out. But I mean, I love that.
There was a really bad part 4, right? I believe
there's a really bad part 4 and part 5 that were shot back to back, and they're not family.
I've watched them. I watched them.
So they're right over there on my shelf, and I don't know why I own them.
You own them?
Yes, I have.
Let me ask you this. So 2 things I've observed listening to you speak about it so lovingly. Why do you think, and I agree with you on everything, and I truly do love Return of the Living Dead 3. Not as much as 2. I love 2 the most.
Of course 2 would be your favorite. Or
no. I'm sorry. I love 1 the most.
Right.
But I also love 2.
Of course you would love 2.
I watched 2 first, and also 2 is much sillier. But I love all 3. I love all 3. But why do you think that 3 never got its just desserts in pop culture? You got to see the return flicks.
Brian, you have to.
What
see
are you doing, man?
Why
the first three?
I mean, why? Wait, like.
I feel like even so Return of the Living Dead 3 does have a very loyal cult following, but why do you think it never? I don't know. Like, I feel as good as it is, it should be bigger.
It's the third film, because
it's the third.
It's been relegated.
That's kind of what I was trying to get out of you.
Yeah, it's been hobbled. No.
Yeah.
It was hobbled by the fact that it is the third film and quasi straight to video. I believe it had a small theatrical release for like 2 weeks or something. It doesn't really qualify it. I mean, it is a straight to video Trimark.
Right.
My beloved straight to video Trimark films. That period from 92 to 95. Just like,
I can hear the logo now.
Yeah, I can hear the logo now. Cyborg 2, Free Jack, or Free Fall, Free Jack, Brain Smasher, A Love Story.
Brain Smasher, yeah.
Oh, just Leprechaun 2, just the best Arachnophobia. I know that had a theatrical release, but it was still
that was wide. That was wide release. I guess my point was sort of like the thing that if you look at all these, even starting out with my number 5 and down, like, the one thing you can say about 3s is that they do one of 2 things. It seems is they either bring you back to the core of the first movie and remind you why you loved this whole thing to begin with, or they give you an entirely new experience with a new tone and almost a new genre with the same premise.
Return of the Living Dead kind of does both of those things, and that's what also makes it so great. Sorry, Return of the Living Dead 3. It has that. I mean, Return of the Living Dead ends the same way. Everybody dies, but for some reason, when you walk out of Return of the Living Dead, you're like, that was fun. Let's do it again. And with the end of Return of the Living Dead is so bleak.
It's bleak. Yeah, but
especially
it's still fun though. It's the execution.
Oh, man. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Whereas there's something about the end, watching them literally, their last words are where we belong, as they're in a fucking incinerator burning to death and kissing and just hugging each other. And it is just, and then it just fades to black. I'm going, that's it. That's how it ends. That's the movie. And I thought about that ending for a week straight. It did not leave my mind at 15 years old, burned in my brain. I own the very VHS that I got from that I rented from the video store where I first saw it for the first time. I haven't watched it. I might be the last person that rented it even. It just sits there unwound, as this artifact of like of the shock, the sheer shock that I felt that a movie could go there and do that. And they do so, it's chock full of so much stuff. They go to so many different places. And I guess the only thing that really could have only made Return of the Living Dead 3 better is that they've already established this precedent. We're going to bring back actors that die in the first movie. Like, bring back Don Calfa, bring back James Karen again. I mean, maybe the movie wouldn't be what it would be if you had.
I don't know if that
element.
would fit. I don't know if that would fit with 3.
Don Calfa was supposed to be in.
Was he supposed to be in it?
He was supposed to be in it. I mean, it would have been interesting. I love that they
without them
the
in
Darrow
it
mythology.
Gives it all the things you're describing and the tone. Sure. I think without them in it, even if they were intended to be, it gives Return 3 that like a little bit more slanted towards respectful seriousness and emotion that you're trying to pull out of it, even if maybe Brian Yuzna doesn't agree. But you know what I mean? If they had him,
I gotta remember. I don't remember what he said. I don't
know either.
It's either him or John Penney is the writer, and he was also the assistant editor on the first film. So I actually got to ask him about the first film as well, and he was like telling me like he was. I remember him saying like we were looking at the dailies and we were like sweating bullets because Dan O'Bannon didn't shoot any coverage, as you can see now. One might say that was a green mistake as a first-time writer-director, but you know, retroactively, decades later, it comes off as masterful because you look at these master shots, these wide shots, these ensemble shots, and it feels like it almost feels more about the actors than it is about the camera.
Yeah.
It's all in service to the performances, and
it's also a way for a director in the studio system to control the final edit.
Sure. You know, I think I have nothing to back this up. I bet you're fucking right. I bet you dollars.
I know I'm probably right. Dan O'Bannon was smart enough to be like, if I shoot more and give them options, they'll fuck my movie up.
You are. I think
I'm an editor, Jeff. What do you think? I know. Yeah,
I think you just nailed it on the fucking head. He framed all of those shots in that way because he knew, that the only way that this was going to work, and because he literally had an ensemble, right? He had an ensemble of 6 characters that he wrote, and he wants to keep all his 6 characters in the shot. Let's shoot everything wide. We'll get everything in the wide. You can't cut anybody
out. You can't cut anything out.
And I'll tell you, the movie is better. I'll tell you this too. Nobody talks about this. When you talk about like oneers and like unbroken takes, next time you watch Return of the Living Dead, that opening scene is all, I believe it's, I don't know how long it goes for, but it's unbroken. And it's just them going back and forth on the set. They're going into the foreground and out of the foreground. And I'm sitting there going, motherfucker, they're not cutting. Like he's just on they have a steady cam and they are just going behind the shelves. And it's just
it's in-camera editing, you know.
Like, it's just
like Spielberg's a master of in-camera editing. Same with
I love in-camera editing. My taste, which I'm always trying to bridge the gap between my taste and ability, as we talk about on this often. It's impossible.
In-camera editing requires a crew, a focus puller.
Of course it does.
Everything.
But it doesn't mean that you're not gonna fucking try to do it. And it's like, you know, it's funny is the funny thing about in-camera editing is, yes, it saves you time in post, but it like the amount of rehearsal and execution that's required.
It's a little bit like a play. It's a little bit like a play.
It's exactly like a play.
You have to tell actors in spatially how to hit their marks.
Sure.
Where the camera's going to be.
It's all about blocking. Yeah.
Blocking, movement, everything. So yeah, it's hard. It's way harder.
Well, it's one step more than a play because now you have the camera, the camera element and the sound element all have to add up to make it. But what's interesting is they say that film is a director's medium, TV is the writer's medium, and stage is the actor's medium. But here's a situation where film is in service to the actors,
right,
instead of the director, and that's what's interesting about it.